Today on General Hospital, Molly and Christina come to an understanding. Esme meets Cyrus, Sunny learns something about Austin, and Sasha is hospitalized after stabbing Cody. At the Metro Court pool, Sasha stabs Cody in the back. He turns, asks her why, and falls to his knees. She continues to see him as Cyrus, and Maxie rushes and tells Sasha to stop. Sasha warns everyone to stay away, and that she can't let him hurt anyone else. Sasha goes to attack Cody again, but Maxie throws herself against Cody and tells her that Cody isn't hurting anyone. Sasha says it's Cyrus when suddenly she sees Cody again. Cody collapses, Maxie screams for someone to call 911, and Sasha wonders what she's done. The reporter Elise films what happens as the paramedics show up to take care of Cody. Sasha breaks down and doesn't know why she did that. A detective arrives and tells Sasha that Cody is in bad shape and he's been told she is responsible. He says she's being charged with assault with a deadly weapon. Maxie explains Sasha isn't well and should be in the hospital, not jail. Maxie shows him Sasha is on antidepressants, which she pulls from her purse. Elise explains Sasha has a history of mental breaks after the death of her son and husband. Austin meets with Ava at the Metro Court grill and whispers in her ear their attraction to one another might be what saves their lives. Sunny and Minna arrive shortly. Nina asks if Ava's sure she wants to double date, seeing how close she and Austin are to one another. They sit down, and Nina apologizes for being late, as she was trying to find information on Curtis. Ava feels so bad for Trina. Austin says he too is thinking about Portia and TJ. Sunny notes Austin seems close to his colleagues and knows Britt trusted him. Austin says she did but thinks he might not. Sunny says he needs to get to know anyone who is going to be around Avery, and Austin can understand that. Sunny wonders if Austin is behind Ava wanting a new nanny. Ava scoffs certainly not, and Pilar has been negligent. A man interrupts them and introduces himself as Gordon Stephen, a former patient of Austin's. He's one of the people Mason sent to Austin to patch up. Austin says, "Okay, nice to see you again." Gordon says, "Maybe not." Ava explains they are having lunch, but Gordon says he needs immediate attention. Austin asks Gordon to go somewhere private to speak. Nina says that was unexpected, and Ava says a doctor is always on call. Sunny points out he always puts Nina first, and they have no secrets. He asks Ava if she and Austin have secrets. Ava says she and Austin like a little mystery. Sunny thinks that Gordon guy seems serious, but Ava says Austin can handle himself. He faced down the Quartermaines after all. Sunny excuses himself, and Ava tells Nana this is going great. Austin and Gordon go out back, and Gordon says he's here about his cousin. He says Mason hasn't paid for his services. He demands Austin talk to his cousin, as he knows he is just as much involved in this as Mason is. Austin says they are done here and tries to walk away, but Gordon grabs him and asks how hard it is to operate with a broken arm. Sunny appears and says, "You break him, and I break you." Sunny demands Gordon apologize to his friend Austin, so he does. Sunny orders Gordon to go, so Gordon takes off. Austin tries to explain patients sometimes don't understand they can't always help everyone, and they sometimes get angry. Sunny suggests they get back to the ladies. Sunny and Austin return to the table, and Nina says she's so glad they could do this. Sunny thinks back to what he saw and overheard between Gordon and Austin in the back alley about Mason. At Pentonville, Esme is surprised when Cyrus sits at her table. She thinks he has made a mistake, but she's who he wants to see. She asks if she knows him. He says she doesn't, but he knows all about who she was, and who she isn't any longer. Cyrus calls himself a fellow pilgrim on a journey to change hearts and minds about past mistakes. He says they were both on the wrong path, but now that they've changed, people doubt them. Cyrus also explains her child is a part of his family. She immediately assumes he's a Cassadine, but he explains Laura is his sister, so Ace is family. Heather arrives and says she is all the family her daughter and grandson need, and Cyrus should scram. Cyrus hopes to talk to Esme again and exits. Heather warns Esme not to talk to other inmates as they may be dangerous. Esme responds, "Like you." Heather is so happy to see her, and thanks her for giving her a second chance. Esme informs Heather that's not why she's here. She came because she needs answers. She asks Heather why she abandoned her. Heather swears she loved her from the moment she was born, but she had made so many mistakes and just wanted the best for her, even if that meant making the ultimate sacrifice. She made a sacrifice for her, and now Esme's doing what she needs to do for her baby. Esme blasts her and says she's nothing like her. Heather disagrees and thinks that's why she's here, that she's realized how much they have in common. Esme says perhaps the old Esme was like her, but she's not that person and she couldn't abandon her child. Heather explains she and Ryan couldn't bring her up properly, so she gave her up for a better chance. Esme says her adoptive parents were cold to her according to Spencer. Heather yells that Spencer shouldn't be trusted, but Esme explains Spencer and her are raising Ace together, and he won't know anything about his blood relatives. Heather laughs and asks how her fairy tale will end when Spencer learns what really happened to her adoptive parents. Esme knows her parents died in an accident. Heather says accidents happen, just like the accident that ended that bartender Oz's life. Esme accuses her of trying to get in her head, and that coming here was a mistake. Heather tells her she doesn't need Spencer, but Esme does if she's going to live down what she's done. Heather laughs that the people in Port Charles don't forgive or forget. She explains she named her Esme because it means love, and she loves and accepts her for who she is. She tells her that she may be the only person in the world who will ever feel that way about her. At the hospital, Trina asks her mom why they were asked to leave Curtis' room. Portia explains its protocol, and Marshall says TJ is on the way. A nurse exits and says Curtis is off the ventilator and stable. Portia tells Trina and Marshall to go in, so they do. Spencer thinks this is good news, but Portia says Curtis is still not out of the woods. TJ arrives as Spencer promises he won't let his family hurt Trina again. She asks if that's a promise he can keep. Tia approaches them and learns about Curtis' condition from Portia. Spencer steps aside, and Portia admits to TJ that she is worried about complications from the surgery. In Curtis' room, Marshall asks if his son needs anything. He says he needs his daughter. Marshall and Trina fill him in on what happened to him, and he asks where Portia is. Trina says Mom is outside and exits to get her. Marshall asks if he feels okay, and Curtis feels like something strange happened. Marshall says he almost didn't make it, which Curtis realizes is why he was with Mom and Tommy. Marshall assumes his mother was still as beautiful as ever, and asks about Tommy. Curtis only felt Tommy, he didn't see him, but it all felt real. Marshall is so glad he came back to them and asks why he did. Curtis says he came back for the same reason his dad did, for his child. In the hall, Trina thanks Spencer for being here. He says he'll always be here for her. She asks what he and her mom were talking about when she arrives. He recalls Portia urging him to let Trina go and says they were talking about putting family first. At Sam's, Christina finds Molly already there. Molly says she was just leaving. Christina tells her not to go on her account. Sam demands they both stop and talk to one another. She asks Christina to tell Molly what they spoke about. Christina admits she is not the most self-aware person, but when she offered to be a surrogate it was to help Molly and TJ. Molly admits she may have overreacted, but she and TJ are still dealing with the fertility issues, and Curtis had just been shot, and it was all too much. Christina understands, but Molly lashed out at her with such anger. Sam excuses herself when she gets a call from Maxie, who informs her that Cody was stabbed at the pool. Meanwhile, Molly admits to Christina she may have taken things out on her, but she needs to understand that her body is rejecting her, and nothing can make a dream she longs for happen. Sam returns and tells them she has to go and says there's ice cream in the freezer. She rushes out. Christina explains she only wanted to give Molly the baby she desperately wants. Molly knows she wanted to help, but she should have talked to her first. She has a big heart, but Christina knows she has a big mouth too, and she tends to get overly excited about things before thinking them through. Christina tells Molly she's her little sister, but has always had her life together and has never needed her. Christina admits she thought that she could finally help her. Molly says all she needs is for her to be her big sister. Christina promises to think things through in the future. Molly promises to lean on her a little more. They decide to get ice cream, and Christina says the offer she made still stands. Back at the pool, the detective agrees to take Sasha to the hospital and tells Gladys, who has blood on her hands, she should probably clean up. Sam arrives at the hospital to see Cody. He asks how she knew he was here. Sam says she's asking the questions and wonders how much trouble is he in this time. Cody says for once he's not in trouble. Sasha is. Cody tells Sam how Sasha stabbed him and called him Cyrus. Sam knows Cyrus terrorized her a while back. Cody could see in her eyes that something was off, and she was just accused of shoplifting. Sam assumes her recovery hit a setback. Cody wants to help Sasha, but Sam doesn't think there is much he can do. They look over and Sasha is in the hall, sitting handcuffed to a wheelchair. She is taken into an elevator by a nurse and looks terrified elsewhere. Spencer feels he's letting Trina down and asks if he makes her life better or more difficult. They are interrupted when Esme calls Spencer with questions about her adoptive parents. He refuses to do this right now and says he'll see her at the apartment. Spencer checks back with Trina, who admits life hasn't been easy for either of them lately. Spencer feels Curtis waking up is a break they need, and Trina agrees maybe things will get easier. Portia goes in to see Curtis with TJ and Dr. Benedict, who needs to do some tests. The doctor conducts some sensitivity tests to see what he feels, and Curtis can't feel his legs. Oh yeah, the General Hospital story with Austin, Gatlin Holt, and Mason is still going on. Mason still has a comatose Nicholas, right? And Mason is still holding something over Austin's head, right? And Austin still has a mystery boss, right? Who might that mystery boss be though? All this talk about Pine Valley has gotten 7% of fans to think about Anna's, Finola Hughes, identical sister, Alex. She's shady, right? And powerful? And connected to Faison, Anders Hove. She could be the one giving orders to Mason and Austin, Roger Howarth. Why not? Selena, Lydia Look, is the badass of the hour, according to 23% of you. She is the obvious person when thinking of who could possibly put the fear of God into Austin and Mason. If she really is the one pulling the strings, then those two better get a move on and do whatever it is that Ms. Wu wants them to do. Not just because we want to see some forward momentum in this story, but because we fear what will happen to them if they don't. It's someone we don't know, 33% predict. Someone super interesting and shocking, and someone who'll make us shriek with delight when we find out the answer. Right? Right? And the winner is, according to 37% of voters, Ava's Maura West, sister Olivia Jerome, Tanja Walker. Who else would want to get back at Ava so badly? Who else would use Nicholas to do it? And who else would reel in Austin? Austin and Ava are the ones who thought they were hiding a dead Nick's body, so Austin and Ava are the ones required to pay the penalty. Olivia may be after Ava, but why not reel in a Quartermain while she's at it? Oh, and Mason, he's also along for the ride. Someone has to babysit Nicholas.